Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Extend your senses.
Seconds until minions spawn.
Find your center. Blindness is no impairment against a smelly enemy.
Minions have spawned.
Force is meaningless without skill. We do what we must.
First blood.
Waste not a minute. Quiet steps.
An enemy has been slain.
I will atone.
The bottom lane, right? That's an 80 carry plus a support who's going to have a shield with some, extra attack speed going there. But when that comes to Rise, the engagement becomes even more important. Haunter is in rare form right now. He had an amazing first game, and TSM, I think, are going to take this.
Absolutely great form out of Haunter yesterday, but Svenskeren a weak point, as you mentioned, Crumbs. We'll see if he can shore up some of that play individually. We've already seen some solid performances so far, but we want to know what your big plays are. So hit us up at LOL Esports with your favorites, and we'll highlight them at the end of the week. That will do it for us here, though. Time to send it over to Riv, Vedius, and Azael, who are standing by for the call. And as we go, Doublelift gives us some thoughts on TSM's group opponents.
Yeah, I'm not really scared of WE at all. I think Mystic is really highly praised, but definitely think I'm a lot better than him. And at MSI, TSM split games with WE, so that's kind of why I feel good that they split games with WE and Flash Wolves, and now I'm on the team, and I think we're a lot better. So, yeah, I guess we'll see if I can back it up.
A little bit more humble in his trash talk, but still feeling confident as Doublelift is and TSM nearing the top of that Group D.
I mean, I think Doublelift should be feeling very confident with how he looked yesterday. I thought he was incredible.
Absolutely. Hell of a run. Welcome back to the games as we unfold the best of the best going head-to-head at the group stage here at Worlds 2017. I'm Rivington Bisson III, joined by Andrew Vedius Day and Isaac Azael Cummings Bentley. Gentlemen, we have quite a game on our hands in just a few minutes. The first fight of the day between Team WE and the NALCS champions TSM, as they are about to head to the stage for the second time here in the group stage.
Really exciting to see both these teams match up, and we got to start off with TSM, who are going to be repping, I believe, the blue side in game one.
They absolutely will. Haunter going to be filling into that top lane as he did yesterday. Svenskeren in the jungle, Bjergsen roaming around in mid, Doublelift at bot with Biofrost as his support, and Coach Park for picks and bans.
And coming up on the red side, their opponents today are going to be Team WE. In the top lane, 957. Condi in the jungle has been crushing it. Xie in the mid lane. Mystic and Ben going to be that bot and support with Coach Holmes.
Both of these teams we see have started group stage with that victory, but while Team WE were in full control against Misfits Gaming, TSM had a tougher time taking down Flash Wolves, as we saw.
Yeah, they really did. I mean, TSM had a real nail-biter of a game compared to WE's dominant victory over Misfits. Yes, they were going up against a harder opponent, but people had TSM as a favorite in this group, and we really saw that Flash Wolves came to play. It was a very tight game. Haunter, though, came up huge. Doublelift, I think, played very well also on the Tristana, and that kind of allowed them to be able to buy time and go late and have them get to this point where they could take over in some late game team fights.
Yeah, it was really impressive to see Haunter step up on the international stage, because last year there was a lot of debate about whether or not how well he was holding up against many other top laners at the tournament, but it seems that he came in swinging. He wanted to prove something yesterday rather, and I think he did a fantastic job.
And we have to turn our attention as well to the other side of the rift. 2 wins here. Team WE dominating Misfits in their win. You can easily look at that mid lane. Look at Xie. The LeBlanc was unstoppable.
This guy, he had a fantastic performance. His early game might not have been the strongest, but very quickly he transitioned that into a very quick 7-0-0 scoreline. Roaming down to the bottom lane, finding pick after pick, getting a triple kill and a massive team fight that effectively won them the game. This guy just really stepped up in yesterday's performance, and I'm excited to see him match up against Bjergsen once more, just like they did back in MSI earlier in the year.
And I think it's going to tell us a lot about the state of the group, because we've already seen Flash Wolves can compete with TSM. That is a very capable team. How good is WE? Are they really, so dominant that they can look as good as they did against Misfits against TSM, or was it just a case of a weaker opponent? That's what we're going to be able to find out.
And WE goes to play a Flash Wolves after this in their next game, so it kind of helped to have that momentum going in, knowing they're taking down TSM, and that happened for TSM as well. This is going to be a big one. That focus for me kind of here is, as it was a little bit from the analyst guys, seeing if Svenskeren can shore up those weaknesses from yesterday, because Condi was a monster in the jungle.
I'm really excited to see him play today, because I feel like during the plans, and especially yesterday, he's been such a big part of the success of Team WE. And when you compare that to the performance of Svenskeren, like we heard on the desk, I think that there's a bit of a mismatch going in favor of Condi. So Sven, he needs to find his form once again. I think he has the potential to do it. I think he has the power to match up against Condi, but right now he doesn't seem like the favorite.
And while the early game was concerning from Svenskeren somewhat, I think he did pick it up in the later stages of the game. He did perform well in team fights, and it was also a very good sign for TSM fans who are remembering back to last year's Worlds that the newer players are playing much better. Haunter and Biofrost, who I think struggled last year at Worlds to play to their level, are showing a much more promising first game against a tough opponent. So we're looking to see more of that from the North American team here.
Absolutely, and as we're about to get into Champion Select, we have to expect to see these late game scaling compositions. I'd actually be very surprised to see if one of these teams tries to go for the early aggression. And TSM winning under 30 isn't something we usually see. It's those late game extravagant team fights they always find themselves in. WE as well.
A lot of respect already being shown towards Condi. He did bring it out during the playing stages. This was the champion that allowed Condi to get 2 Baron
Condi's having a
steals
laugh
back to
about
back.
it, too.
And he's basically saying, okay, I realize I'm pretty good at this champion.
Yeah, it always feels good to draw a respect fan, you know, it kind of builds that confidence a little bit. It is going to be interesting to see if either of these teams are going to be focusing very many bans on the supports, trying to target those protective supports in the bot lane, or if they're going to be just accepting, okay, it's a Janna for Lulu trade, or it's something like that, and focusing their bans elsewhere on the map.
Jarvan gets taken out from TSM side, as Team WE does not want to see that in the engages. A lot of that hard for sure engage, obviously coming out and pick some bans here, so you can get through that early game safe and sound.
Now Sejuani still up and available for both these sides. Both Janna and Lulu also been very popular throughout the group stages of Worlds so far, and already one will be taken off the board. So now this increases the value of Lulu. And Team WE, I feel like they should leave things like the Sejuani open, because if TSM then go for the Lulu, they can answer it with another power pick of their own.
Well, I think what TSM is trying to do is make it one power pick for one power pick. Because if you leave up the Janna in a situation like this, even if you take the Sejuani or the Lulu or whatever, then you're giving over something like the Tristana plus a support, or the Tristana plus the Sejuani, which is not the situation that they want to be in. So we'll see now where they're going to go as far as these Ardent supports. Obviously, there is Rakan, which is very high priority. There's still things such as Karma, even Nami, and along those lines. We'll see where Ben is going to look to go.
You got to split up the duo as well. Zaya towards the other side for Team WE. Wouldn't expect anything different.
I think TSM are fine with this though, because they're likely going to go for the Tristana and still have that all-in potential in the bottom lane with the Tristana-Rakan combo, which can be pretty effective against a champion like Zaya.
And Biofrost is actually extremely good on this champion. If you did watch the NA finals, you know that he can have standout performances as an engager on this champion, and certainly a comfort pick for him. Gragas, another comfort pick over for Condi, and would make a lot of sense picking up a front line, someone who can get proactive though in the early game. But it is going to be Sejuani.
Decides to switch it up at the last moment, and that would be Gragas possibly going in the hands now of TSM to round out what would be in the jungle. Don't have to pick just yet.
Had a great conversation with Brosk earlier in the day, and she said that when it comes to the LPL, a champion like Zaya is something that the Chinese teams will pick to win their lane. They consider it to be the strongest AD carry in the current meta, and if they're going to pick it, they're looking for dominance. And after Mystic did have a great laning phase yesterday, he wants to try and match the challenge that Doublelift issued him before the start of this draft.
Which would lead you to believe that they are going to go for more of an aggressive support.
You would
in
hope.
lane, you know, something more like a Karma, and less like a Braum or something along those lines. Not that we've really been seeing the tanky defensive supports. This does make a lot of sense though. Tristana going over to Doublelift, another very big comfort pick for him. Something that he can usually survive lane on, and then really look to take over in the turret pushes, in the late game, and make game team fights.
It was also something that he had a great performance on yesterday. His damage numbers were ridiculous. I believe he was around 1.3k damage per minute. Absolute insane performance from him, and I'm excited to see what he can do with it today.
Oh, I was figuring switch to the Taric. I was thinking about that though, because you can always Featherstorm out of it. It's a bit of a weird Cosmic Radiance interaction, but still makes a very strong level.
I mean, this is already drafting a very powerful team fighting composition here from WE. One thing I will say though is if you're looking to dominate lane, Taric is very rarely the champion to do it, and you would have to think that the Rakan and the Tristana, especially in combination with the Gragas, could perhaps provide some threat over onto the Taric. Because while people think of Taric as a tank support, when you're building Ardent Sensor, you really are not. You're extremely squishy, and you're a melee champion, so you have to be very careful about your positioning, and sometimes it can be difficult to get involved.
Second phase of bans going through. The Gnar is taken away from Haunter on TSM, delivering the loss to Flash Wolves on that. Pretty devastating play from him. He will have to choose something else as Cassio is taken away from Xie on the side of TSM. 10 seconds left here for Team WE's final phase 2 ban.
The next pick here is going to be very important for WE if they want to show what 957 is going to play, or if they're going to kind of save him for later and show Xie's pick here. Because either way, the strength from TSM in the solo lanes has been very prevalent. We know that Bjergsen and Haunter are able to play to dominate lane, and one of them will get to pick an advantageous matchup.
Synders as well, left up in that mid lane. Could go to the side of TSM, but he may as well take that away from Xie. Comes to it. LeBlanc still left up in that case with his 7-0 gameplay yesterday on that.
Yeah, we also still have Orianna on the table. Something like that can fit in very well with a comp to buff up Doublelift to protect him.
Yeah.
Gives you the wave clear,
SKT
gives you the
buff.
team fight. Yeah, that can be delivered as we saw to great effect via Wolf and Faker.
And there's the Syndra actually picked up. The LeBlanc was chosen to be banned by TSM. So good power in the mid lane for Xie. Game-changing power as well you can get from Syndra.
So now TSM, they might be looking for a little bit more utility because they've got plenty of engage coming out from the Rakan and the Gragas. They have the option to put Haunter either on a tank in the form of something like a Cho'Gath or a Maokai, or they could go for something like a bit more of a carry. He did have a great game on Gnar. Obviously being respected by Team WWE will force TSM to go a little bit more meta, a little bit more standard with what they go in the top. But now will Bjergsen try and get himself a counter? Will he go for something like the Echo and be a little bit more adventurous, or will he go with something standard like the Corki?
I'm guessing we are going to see something like the Corki or the Orianna. I think it fits very well into the composition that they're already drafting. You have a big frontliner. You have the consistent damage coming out from Doublelift on the Tristana, and the Corki, I think, makes a lot of sense in the context of this lane. It's also, as far as itemization, when you're going against a magic damage dealing jungler as well as the Syndra, building into something early like a Hex Drinker can give you a lot of safety through the laning phase.
Now, I feel like that there's a good possibility of something a little bit interesting coming out from Team WWE. I was hoping for it, but it looks like they're just Shen. So the big thing about Shen is that he can actually be pretty aggressive during the laning phase, especially during the early levels. But one of the big criticisms we've had of Shen this tournament is team utilizing the ultimate once he hits level 6, especially thinking back to G2's game. They did not take full advantage of using Shen's ability to move around the map.
You need to be proactive with Shen to get the most out of his kit. It's so much easier to actually get an effective stand united when you are the one setting up the play, when you're roaming 5-man bot, when you're ulting in on your jungler, creating these tower dives, creating these plays. Because if you're just going to have a Shen sit and farm in a lane against Cho'Gath, Cho'Gath will outscale you and be more useful in the 5v5 team fight. So it's about side lane control. It's about proactivity. And we'll see if WE is going to be able to pull that off in the early stages of the game.
Looking at the entire draft though from Team WE, I think that even in the late game their team fighting is pretty good thanks to the Spirit's Refuge and the fact that they're playing up against 2 AD carries placed at the right time, combined with the tag ultimate as well. You can get these really drawn out fights that can allow Syndra, allow the Xayah to just chunk through the front line of the Gragas and the Cho'Gath and then bait their way towards these squishy backline carries. But in terms of engage, everything going in favor of TSM.
And that's what you really have to remember, because while the Terra can put this down, if you're being proactive, if you're choosing the initiation, you drop that Cosmic Radiance, you drop your ultimate, you go forward. But when you're getting engaged on by a Rakan, by a Gragas, if you're getting split up, if you're getting burst down by the Feast from the Cho'Gath, by the double marksman damage, that can be very, very difficult to deal with.
Ally has been slain.
We do what we must.
And we are on the Rift. Group D will find a 2-0 placeholder after this matchup, be it TSM or Team WE. One team has to walk away with a loss here. We will sit at top of Group D. Out short.
Another concern that I have when I'm looking at Team WE's composition is that no one on the top side of the map is actually going to force Haunter into building any armor. So if you build into early magic resistance, if you want to go for something like an Abyssal or a Spirit Tread, like a Spirit Visage early on, as well as the Mercury Treads, you're really going to be very difficult to kill from the Shen, from the Sejuani, from the Syndra as well. Like, it's so easy to itemize.
It depends as well whether or not they want a little bit more in terms of engage, because we did see Righteous Glory rushes from a Cho'Gath as well. And that would just feel facilitating, being like, oh, okay, we actually feel really strong around mid-game. We feel like we want to try and force a fight. And it's very much what we want to try and do. I think that it makes a lot of sense, prioritizing early magic resistance. But TSM could say, you know what, we have the Trinity Force from the Corki, we have a Tristana who does a fair amount of early game damage as well. Like, maybe they just want to be a little bit more active.
Yeah, and if you're not feeling the threat of those kills anyway, then you can just skip that, right? Because Shen is not going to put on a lot of solo kill pressure regardless, so if you're confident in the vision that is being provided here from Svenskeren, if you're confident in your ability to survive those ganks, then you don't have to be as worried, and that's when it comes back again to those junglers.
Yep, we'll see Sven starting both on the bottom side, going toward the top. They'll have their double buffs, but looking at those summoner spells, not recently have we seen the Ignite coming in for those bot lanes, and Double Lift and Biofrost have that kill pressure here. May be able to start that little bit of early aggression in bot lane if they choose to do so.
And I'm really excited to see how these two teams match up, because thinking back to how these two teams played yesterday, TSM, they did have a very long, drawn-out back and forth going up against Flash Wolves, whereas for WE, they were just very quick and very dominant in how they just managed.
Yeah, they certainly were. And I think it's going to be a very different game this time around than what WE had against Misfits.
Sure.
I think that they are going to be in tough, but we certainly have seen that TSM can be challenged and really put to the limit in these groups. But the fact of the matter is, to me, teams have not closed games very well. And if Flash Wolves had actually closed out that game properly with the advantages that they had, you feel like they were the team that should have won.
And that's one of the big concerns that TSM may have, given that WE have demonstrated they can get these early leads, and they're very effective at closing them.
Oh,
But
Bjergsen roaming.
Good hit on Shie, stops him from getting to Svenskeren and Kandi. That's slow onto Kandi. The dash out of this one is all Svenskeren trying to get that gap closer in. Bot then is pushing TSM on all fronts.
Bjergsen is trying to push up to be able to actually join, and this fight continues. Haunter has actually roamed down here as well, so TSM putting a lot of pressure onto Kandi. They're trying to subvert Svenskeren and get him off to an early game start.
looks like right now the advantages.
Wow! Oh, absolutely amazing. He's going to live throughout that one, though. Just enough HP to strike that bucket.
Also, using the flash scope just off screen to get as close as possible to Condi. He was ready to flash, he was ready to go in and get that kill, but unfortunately, it was not there fast enough, so Condi is able to walk away with his life.
Well, Haunter really didn't lose anything. He had actually had the push on top side, so he shoved in the wave, makes this roam. It also means that Kandi is going to lose his Krugs here too. That's two camps going away. Svenskeren is pressure on the top side. He's Shen without a taunt here.
Just outside of turret range, able to deliver to that. Svenskeren wins the jungle. Svenskeren helps win top lane, having a much better start to his game this time around.
That was a bit of a misplay there from 957, using the taunt, knowing that the top side of the jungle did not belong to Team WE, is now going to force him to use his flash and going to give a little bit more pressure over to Haunter. So this early game matchup that often can go heavily in the favor of the Shen is now being pushed back due to the lack of respect for 957.
It also gives a lot of information to TSM because they cleared the top side of the jungle. They know the only place that Kandi could be is on the bot side, so we'll see how much respect TSM is giving over that. They already have a couple wards in the river, one by mid lane that I believe did spot the pink ward as it went down, as well as another in the river brush. So we'll see if the Biofrost are able to save it.
Keep an eye on Kandi. I feel like this hasn't really hurt him too much. As soon as WE is able to start making moves, they do not stop. And Kandi's usually on the front line of that. A little aggression with the dazzle towards double lift. Buffer the rocket jump to safety as Team WE gets a little bit of lane control here as they're moving.
Stick and Ben doing a good job of pressuring the 2 versus 2. There's a big minion wave stack right now. Zola should have the farm advantage, and that's very much what you'd expect from a Tristan or a Khan lane. We told you during the draft how a lot of the LPL teams consider that the strongest AD carry in terms of the 2 versus 2, and a very limited number of gems that can really match her. But when you pair her up with a Taric, it's much harder to have that same kind of pressure, which is where this definitely comes.
Certainly the case, but either way, it is such a powerful team fighter that you're willing kind of sometimes to make that sacrifice, and it's one of the reasons that we're seeing the rise in popularity here from the Taric because of how good it is in the later stages of the game. When you have a high amount of CPR, the cooldown is so low on your ultimate that you can continually reset fights with that.
Still pretty quiet on the home front, 6 minutes in. Kandi able to stave off what was happening in the jungle, didn't lose his flash, now able to get a few deep wards in. This could set Team WE up for their own engagement, for their own start towards TSM here.
You can also see now Drake is spawn on the bottom side, likely to be one of the higher priority Drakes that are available, but right now neither team really focusing on the bot side. Looks like Team WE, their eyes are on the top. No TP on Haunter, only level 5, but he reads the play.
Yeah, I think he has read this play. They're calling the missing from mid lane. The problem is he has to actually back up, and while they are calling the play, he will be able to go back to the bottom. Yes, but I was going to say, if they're trying to zone him on the turret, sometimes even just applying the pressure, and probably going to lose the experience, lose the farm. can make a play for them.
And that Spires Bloom shot towards the blue buff area. See, like TSM's gonna get their own decoys in here and see if they can try to get resources and get some pressure on this first mountain break if anything comes of it.
And it looks like before that, they're thinking about trying to contest this blue buff. They have to remember, though, this is a level 6 Shen. Haunter does not have TP, so this is not really a play that I think TSM is set up to be able to make. When Stand United is available, when TP is available, you have to play respectful of that Shen. Because if Haunter doesn't have insight to actually interrupt, then you can't really go for those
An
sort of
enemy
plays.
has been slain.
Haunter up in that top lane. He has too much if and stacks just yet. Hasn't decided to chomp down. He's still holding off as he might make his way into the jungle and make that his first against the red buff respawn.
Looks like he's working towards that righteous story. That additional bit of engage from the top side of the map, but for now their focus is on the top side where they have around the red buff. They've already got this deep vision down. The problem for them is that Bjergsen is pushing underneath his turret, but yeah, okay, he's a Cho'Gath. It's very easy to be able to do that, so good job.
And it's not only just gold, he has a red buff, which really does make it a lot more difficult to lane against this guy. It's the damage, food damage, the slow, as well as a lot of HP regen, which is such a big part if you're trying to trade aggressively. And while Haunter is not really defensively itemizing himself with the managing damage, you can see that Bjergsen is looking like he wants to pick up a Twin Drinker and maybe even then go towards a Phage, which is pretty defensive on the side of this Corki. If he doesn't complete it, he could change things up and try to just sit on that null magic mantle, but it's actually double and roaming up, and Rakan, I believe Biofrost is heading towards mid lane here as well. They may be trying to set up a 3-man play.
Recognize the double lift is missing. They're afraid of the potential Biofrost roam as well, and Xie showing a lot of respect towards TSM. I think it's worth highlighting Xie. He's considered very much the father figure of this team, one of the older players on the roster. He's been playing League of Legends for a long time, but really only came into the scene fairly recently. And the fact that Team WE, they have been growing this roster over a long period of time. This year was the first time they were able to win a split, and this is also the first time that Team WE have returned to the world stage since 2012, and they're looking to make a bit more of a name for themselves.
Quick hit, Cosmic. No, just the Bastion goes down, and the heal on to Ben. They stay alive for that one. Level 6s are there. Doublelift has used his, and Biofrost is going to hold.
And you know that TSM did not fully commit to that, so they get a really good chunk, no Ignite use, no ultimate from Biofrost use. They don't jump forward because they know the Shen Stand United would come through and turn around that play.
And the TP was unavailable for Haunter, so there's no way to match to help support the bottom lane now. Like the respect from TSM's duo for the time being, but now there's going to be a battle for this dragon.
Will goes in from Biofrost. They get out Svenskaren's flash, making sure he's still there, fighting a bigger fight here, that war for the dragon. They're going to have to be looped down to the bottom side, which leaves Bjergsen on the top here. It doesn't look like anybody's going to get anything out of this dragon just yet.
And TSM wants to continue trying to push up these waves. They're trying to buy time for Haunter's TP to come back, which is bad. So now if they can get good buys off, they would be able to try to contest for one of these dragons. Both junglers are down around bot side though, but Kandi has made his way to lane faster, and a pick here could mean that objective goes up to W.
WWE and TSM playing somebody's here, but not really. Go aggressive on us. We want to get that counter, and that's in both of their minds. That's why we're seeing the stalemate. Kandi may be making the first move, though.
A lot of respect being given between these two teams, and also a lot of confidence as well in their late game play. Neither of these teams are feeling the pressure to make any early moves because they feel like they are the ones that are going to have the advantage in the later side. But Kandi feels like he's getting a little bit antsy. He is spending a ton of time here on the bottom side.
So hard to take this out. A buffer rocket jump from Doublelift. Biofrost able to dance back and just get the safety in. It would be extravagant if they were able to pull it off, but WWE still could if they went for it. TSM stays safe for now, and again, more fun.
And they're able to get their buys off. I mean, Bjergsen's out on the map with the package. He has his X-Drinker now too, but taking a lot of poke there, and Svenskeren has been able to establish a farm advantage. That's where a fair bit of their gold lead has come from, simply because Kandi was really trying to make these ganks happen. Whoa.
Nice little dodge out. That actually relieves quite a bit of pressure for this Dragon. If something else can happen, if a flash is now blown in favor of TSM.
Mondi just trying to send out a message, being like, I am around, I have control over the river. But it will, as you rightly said, Riv, it will alleviate a bit of pressure now from TSM. They're not as afraid of that jungle gang. Mondi has that big open. So, a bit of pressure swing now back in the favor of TSM, but again, a lot of praise for TSM for respecting that Shen. You can see Team WE trying their best to utilize that ultimate, but Hauntzer always pushing the Shen under plenty of ways but Team WE that's their hardest to utilize 957 brings.
And while TSM pulled back last time the blue buff test was available, this time they are confident to go for it. You can see Hauntzer has backed off. He's actually farming the jungle so that he could not be interrupted if he tries to TP in here. But Chie is able to pull it away and nicely comboed actually
Syndra. Super obnoxious, able to just pick up those jungle creeps and walk off with them. The invade, the strategy, and the setup from TSM was good, but you got outplayed by those.
See when this opening could be. A few turrets in favor of TSM could have knocked the Corki and the double lift at the right time from Corki and the Tristana at the right time. Same thing for WE though. CA coming online, fighting for himself as he unleashes that power. We can easily see a Bjergsen or a double lift going down.
And this is one of those games where when both teams are playing this passively for so long, sometimes you kind of lose track of how much damage your opponents are going to be dealing in the team fights because you haven't really been fighting. You haven't had this progressive ramp up. It's just all of a sudden you're fighting someone with a completed item, and those first fights tend to decide the games in these types of situations.
Slow play as TSM tries to grab a little bit more control around the map, taking it accordingly, and TWE back before Chie shoots the third threat. Keep himself in the ground position out.
Now, this may very well be it is the expectation of what the current meta is, but I think it's really important to highlight what this will also give the Zang. There's going to be a lot of very aggressive team fights later on because something that TSM have been working on this year is more of a defensive early game, transitioning into a stronger mid-to-late game team and trying to improve their decision making and their team fighting ability. The thing that Team WE are famous for is their team fighting prowess when it comes to skirmish. That's why they are considered the very different, really the top team in China because nobody else plays like they do, and they were able to demonstrate that earlier in the year at MSI. So both these teams, they've got their team fight composition, their teams that are specialized in improving their team fights, and that's just going to make these team fights so much more exciting therein.
And where do you think we get that team fight? Seems like TSM is rarely going to forget there's a Stand United coming. Maybe kind of face checking a brush, dodging out though, and they'll be able to get some vision, but how can we see this happening maybe at the Dragon?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly think it could be around Dragon. It might very well be right now. We'll see if Svenskeren is able to get away, and Stand Unite's coming in.
Flash on Svenskeren. This is the same thing that happened right behind Red when they went for Dragon the first time. Could he be going down? Battle Dance in. The saves are there. And Svenskeren's going to live. No! Unleash power to Strange! GA picks up first blood!
Double Lift is coming up, though. They have Hauntzer actually continuing to push on the top side, so we'll see if WE tries to extend this advantage and go for the Mountain Dragon.
But just like yesterday, it's Svenskeren that ends up going down. He sticks around a little too long, doesn't pay enough respect, and Team WE are quick to punish. Conduit the setup, the Shen follow up as well. They find first blood, and now their eyes are on Hauntzer.
It's been a slow rinse and repeat for Team WE in the same area, denying TSM the blue buff, denying TSM that range. They held off for Kandi ult to come back, and again go for the same play. Hauntzer now being routed out of Team WE's jungle. Bjergsen will be there for safe passage.
Hauntzer did get a ton of damage, though, off in that top lane. They're actually going for it all in on the bot side.
Quill, he's got Benzai, but they want the kill here, and Mystic looks like he can get it on Biofrost. They get a little bit of the heal back as Doublelift wants to step forward. There's the barrier that comes out. Ignite has already been used. And the Buster shot. It's a Featherstone.
Still a good trade there for TSM. They get the ultimate, they get two summoners down, and this is Svenskeren moving forward, getting Connie. Wanted to hold on to that flash, but once he's already hit by 1 second flash, nice game there from Connie to actually attack him next. The Stand United is then coming in. They use Terra Ultimate aggressively here to enable this power dive. EA simply stepping forward and unleashing the power.
I know how much this stage ultimate, you realize that there was no point in TPing in to try and assist the team. His focus was on that top tower. But with the bottom lane of Team WWE trying to go for that skirmish against Double and Bio earlier on, they were forced back. And then after Svenskeren respawns, he knows that he can just transition to the bot lane and pick up that first neutral objective. So TSM, they did lose first blood, but overall the effective game
And they're still up in gold. You can very easily see that top lane turret go down pretty quickly here too. That first turret gold would be worth quite a lot for TSM if they can get that advantage. Or if they even want to try to do something like a lane swap or even just roam Bjergsen up to the top lane to try to knock that down. He is very low, and Bjergsen at a very strong point in the game now. Having completed his Trinity Force, he is ready to make these sort of moves, which could simply be a package up to the top side.
They were talking about Double Lift as well in terms of them coming online. These guys fit in next level. Clear up here, and for Bjergsen in the mid lane, he may be able to roll him down, but he may find WWE coming from that bottom side for himself in the same.
And I think
not look like Kanji's going.
I think both these teams are going to be looking to try and set up their AD carries for success because, as we said earlier in the day, how we heard from Double Lift that he was very much about, he believes that he is stronger than Mystic, especially after seeing his performance. And now we're seeing the bottom lane set up. But nothing's going to happen.
So in and out, makes you want to pull your hair out.
So this again, the reason that TSM is not going forward is because they're respecting the fact that Stand United could be available. It's not up for another second or two, but they didn't have the exact timing. And Bjergsen is able to make that roam that I had just talked about. Just uses the package speed, goes up the top side, knocks down the first turret, and this is making it even harder for 957. And I would say that TSM has done a good job of actually neutralizing the early game advantage of that Shen, not allowing him to really get too much done with these things.
Menacey in that top lane and that mid lane, pretty much even out of the box for those turrets to go down. A little bit of a setup here for Team WWE. Got quite a bit of time before that next mountain break, but it is going to be those Drakes that the team will want to get those structures down, those objectives.
And you're seeing WWE more and more set up in these bushes. They're waiting for TSM to extend a little bit too far. And if someone from TSM does step forward into one of these unwarded bushes, they will be pounced on, they will be taken out. So TSM is playing with a lot of respect, and
Shut down.
you can see Svenskeren was actually ulted by Xie, knocked very low, but does survive.
And I think Team WWE, their eyes are on this tier 1 tower in the bottom lane right now. And because TSM understand the rough positioning of Condi, they're immediately going to answer both the teams going back and forth. But TSM are always the team that are coming out ahead.
I mean, if Biofrost is actually left lane, he just base, he's going towards mid, so they've made the call to actually give up this bot side turret. They're going to try to trade it for the Rift Herald and then perhaps get a lot of pressure down on mid lane immediately with that. You can see that Biofrost is heading up there. Double is going to go bot side to catch the wave, but TSM is very clearly looking to answer on the other side of the map.
I think this is fine for TSM because their eyes will be to take down that mid tier 1 as well. Against the Syndra, it's pretty difficult to siege. You always got to be respectful of the pick power that she has with the stun. And she has a fair amount of wave clear. So with the Rift Herald, they have that extra bit of clear needed to chunk out and open up the map that way.
It's going to take a moment longer as well. TSM backs, which means Team WWE are going to get these waves pushed a few times, and they can set up the Rift Herald from TSM side. But I'm sure WWE will be ready for it. We haven't seen too many forward boards being placed by either team, though. A lot of action just around that dragon lane. So if something could get in trouble trying to get these boards placed here. You see TSM being clear about it.
They're kind of trying to make some incursions into each other's red side jungle, but haven't been able to get any full control over their opponent's jungle. Both teams playing with a lot of respect. Both teams extremely evenly matched so far, and it's really going to come down, I think, a lot to the engages from TSM. Can they find those great engages with the Rakan, with this Gragas, or will WWE be able to utilize that Taric ultimate to really get a lot of damage done?
And I think those item spikes are going to be one of the biggest determining factors as to when those engages come out, because TSM, they're looking, they're waiting for this opportunity. Bjergsen coming from the flank.
He's going to meet Xie on the right side. Cosmic Radiance goes down. Double is forced to blast out of that one. Actually quite low to start. Gets Condi back. He throws the ultimate down, and that's only going to hit Svenskeren. That could be the kill that WWE needs, though, to gain control of this jungle. Biofrost gets unleashed on as well, and it's 2 kills coming in for WWE.
And it's TSM trying to go for the engage, but it's Team WWE to come out with the team fight win. Fantastic punish from Condi, expecting the flash from Svenskeren and still able to land the ultimate. They get themselves 2 kills, and now they're looking for more.
And we talked about the engagement there, and Biofrost completely whiffed his grand entrance. He was not able to hit anyone with that RW combo. and does get taken out on the exit as well. So TSM losing a lot there, losing multiple flashes as well as those kills, and they are going to lose the topside turret here.
WWE knowing when they could attack, figuring there was just the amount. Ooh, another shot from Bjergsen. I was going to say just the right amount of people there to fight, but Bjergsen knew just the right amount of damage.
The one man you can always count on in the mid lane is Bjergsen. We hyped up GA at the start of the game, but you can never count this superstar out. Finding the solo kill down, now being able to utilize the Rift Herald as well. TSM, they're going to get themselves a turn.
And this is Bjergsen seeing that GA had his flash down, capitalizing, getting something back for them, and they will knock down that mid lane turret while Dublin is pressuring on the top side. So this is really a big swing back for TSM and helps them even the game right back out.
Such a big mistake from Shea as well. He is one of the leaders of the team. He is one of the experienced players that a lot of the young players will come to rely on. Forward now, so Bjergsen, you have to wonder how that affects their confidence. They've been running a lot of successful fights, but this game is TSM are the ones that have control over the towers, and TSM have control of the mountain trade. But let's see how this fight actually breaks down.
Yeah, and here's the play again. Bjergsen simply flashing over that Q, knowing that a summoner is not available from Shea from the earlier skirmish, gets them the kill, gets them mid lane control and that tower, and now they get their second Mountain Dragon. So the threat of a Baron Rush becomes so real. With that second Mountain Dragon going over to TSM, means they're going to be able to burn this down very quickly, and WWE will always have to make a concerted effort to keep vision around the Baron at all times.
Yeah, Cho'Gath as well, you always have to respect it. Look at Bjergsen once again.
Right after his Hex Drinker Triforce, getting that BF sword, looking for even more damage pickaxe after that, and I pretty much know what's coming into his inventory with that Infinity Edge.
Yeah, Bjergsen is off to a really good point. Doublelift quietly has been farming away. Mystic is outpacing him because of the kills, because of the additional CS that he has been able to pick up. Thankfully, because of the perfectly put bot side, and WWE is going to be looking to go mid lane to try to answer this turret back. So we'll see if TSM will be ready.
Few pings towards the bot. Haunter is trying to seek out 957 as he was roaming up, saying, I can't stop that. I'm TP, I can't stop the Stand United. They're back buddy system on the bot side as they farm it out. About 30 more CS for Haunter.
I'm really excited to see how things play out moving forward, because just at this point in the game, there's had so many ways. He's fighting prowess, really waiting to able to try to by many hours. Best AD carry and trying to hit the engage.
Oh, straight through. Biofrost trying to charm up the entire team. WE, and he's got a few. It looks like they got the number on Ben as well. Goes down a double kill for Bjergsen, and now they're going to be looking for Condi, one of the tankiest members. They drop him, and Baron is in the eyes of TSM. It might already be.
That ultimate from Svenskeren was incredible. He split Ben up from GA, denying the Taric ultimate from coming through, allows them to get Syndra. They are teaming in, and they're going to secure this with the Gragas. TSM is looking to get a stranglehold on this game.
Gragas and the Cho'Gath. Condi can't even make it close. Beautiful job by TSM by holding off on the damage and making sure Condi is at range. Baron grab 25 minutes in by TSM.
TSM find the first significant lead in this game. Team WE, they get caught unawares. They make an uncharacteristic mistake, and they don't respect the engaged Biofrost. Keep your eyes on how this setup starts. Biofrost comes in, gets a great two-man knockup along with the charm, and then the Gragas ultimate from Svenskeren, splitting up the team, allowing the rest of TSM to shred through the lineup of Team WE. Condi, he's famous for his Baron steals, but TSM know that, and they don't allow him.
God damn, you fucking asshole.
And Haunter getting a lot of damage down on WE. You can see he knocks 957 out, then TP'd in to secure the Baron. So very well played here from Haunter. Not only is he kind of outscaling his opponent, he's already on 7 stacks, he's up a lot of farm, and the Cho'Gath is going to be a menace in these team fights and be pivotal in helping to burst people down before the Taric ultimate completes.
It's absolutely ridiculous to take into consideration how much happened off the ball there for Haunter when we were watching the fight. It could have gone much different. 2 OG breaks now to that. Bjergsen on Corki and Doublelift on Tristana. The Demolition team is going to be wiping down these turrets if they get a moment at them. and now they have a bit of siege power to do it with.
Yesterday was all the Haunter show. Doublelift was the one that got the game-winning play, but today Bjergsen is the individual that is stepping up. We talked about how it was all going to come down to these late-game team fights and how the engages from TSM would be pivotal if they wanted to be the ones to come out ahead. Biofrost was able to find it. Bjergsen was able to find the follow-up damage, and now they have the Baron buff. They've got their eyes on the base of Team WWE.
And while TSM does want to threaten these turrets, I don't think that they want a concerted fight. Doublelift has not purchased in quite a long time. You can see that the BF Sword plus pickaxe advantage goes over to Mystic, so he has quite a bit of gold in his pockets, and you know, they want to have him buy up before they actually finish that fight. It seems like Doublelift is stay on the map, get to a gold completed second steal item, and then go for the base, hit Trias, and look to fight right with that power spell.
Like they won't hope for more here, knowing that WWE will have time to respond, but now TSM is back. Take another look at the map and figure out exactly what they want. Monster has this crowd all the time in the world, and by the time he gets to that point, they will lost
What's concerning for WWE is historically when they fall behind, they tend to be a lot more reserved. Yeah. They tend to pull back a lot more, and they wait for their opposition to make that kind of a mistake. But what we've been seeing from TSM is, especially in the late game, they're so much clearer in their decision making. They know how to be able to siege onto these towers and break into their opposition's base. So if Team WWE don't look to try and catch TSM off guard, don't look to try and make this play, TSM are just going to slowly and gradually work their way into the base of Team WWE and bleed them out of this game.
And WWE does have their opportunities to go for those aggressive plays. Mystic has completed his very expensive 3 items. He's on the IE plus the Essence Reaver, and he has his Rapid Fire. He's at a point where he can take over a team fight, certainly if he's given the freedom to do so. If they find that right Terra Cult with the engage, give him that free firing time in the backline, he will make TSM pay.
One of the interesting things of that with Khan versus Taric, you get the Charmin, the Cosmic Radiance comes in when everybody has half HP, and then you don't feel as strong the fight after it wears off. Biofrost will get in there with the engages. Ben is having a hard time staying in the team. However, he go very wrong, very quick here. So Team WWE is good right now, quite strong. Good items on TA, Condi, and 957. A ton of crowd control to lock up these fights. Turns right back around.
And now both teams are going to be eyeing up that Baron. Again, a little bit harder for TSM to siege onto the base of Team WWE. They always have to respect the engage power of Sejuani and the Syndra, but the majority of the map still belongs to TSM. They're the ones that have a lot of vision control on the entire river, and they'll be able to pick up another Ocean Trade thanks to that control.
And that is why the vision control is so important in a game like this, because of the powerful engage from TSM. If WWE loses vision control in one side of their jungle, they can no longer enter because of the threat coming out of Biofrost and Svenskeren, who can easily jump on them and start one of those fights if they aren't prepared.
Over with the buddy system here. It is Bjergsen gets the Knight's Vow from Svenskeren. And obviously change it whenever he wants to, but Bjergsen with the pack wanting to go in these fights. It's nice to actually have that on him. You can see Mystics coming in there from 957.
And looking at some of the extra atomization as well, Svenskeren getting a relatively early locket, which is going to be huge against a champion like Syndra. The amount of burst that it can mitigate can be really effective, on top of the fact that Mystic, we're keeping our eyes on him and the amount of damage he can output, and some of the shielding that is available on TSM is going to make that burst so much harder to kill.
It really is, and especially when you compare that locket to the Redemption, it buys time for the Redemption to actually be able to come down, which can be a game-turning point.
You get to figure out if it's yours or the enemy team's. Do I run out or do I run in? The split-second decisions, the executive decisions here 30 minutes in. Made by TSM and both. Team WE looking at just about a minute up there. Expect the wards to go down and expect them to be heavily protected at this point in time.
And the one thing we do have to say is Team WE, they weren't really able to utilize the chances. You have to give a lot of credit to TSM preventing them from trying, because we did see WWE have the want in the early game to take advantage of it, but it just became harder and harder, and now we're at a point where the Cho'Gath just has so much more value in a lot of these fights.
And this is something I like to talk about, where it's not thinking about going, it's thinking about what are your opponent's win conditions, right? And TSM in the early game did a very good job of saying, how does WWE Well, they're proactive. They find ways to get the Shen involved early before the Cho'Gath can scale, before the Cho'Gath can overtake him in power, so they don't give that to their opponents. They say, you know what, if you could be over there, we won't go there. We'll play very defensively. We'll ward very defensively. We'll allow ourselves to give up some vision early and get to a very strong point where you can then start to take over the map.
And they actually handled it quite well. The question was, Spence Garrett part of it was actually a very big part of it, pushing Condi out. WWE staving off that early aggression as it happened. We saw the first blood coming to them onto TSM, onto Spence Garrett. He got caught. And now it's TSM back in favor with the Baron, back in favor with this lane control.
It's a very striking point in the game too when Haunter is almost full build. He's already 4 fully completed items. Just has that one slot for rewards. He's going to do a massive amount of damage to anyone in the front line, so Ben has to be even better with the Taric ultimate to make sure it comes down in time.
Gotta watch how much they focus on Condi right away, but same thing for Team WE. Looking at Hanser as they open up the side to the rest of TSM. They feel like the fight is 957 in the front, but they pull off knowing they got a bit of a hit on that Hanser's Cho'Gath.
Initially, that looked quite scary for Team WE because Haunter was just sitting in that brush, waiting for the opportunity to flank. But the moment the Shen ultimate came down onto Xie, TSM just disengaged. They're like, there's no need for us to hard commit to this. There's no need to try and force a fight. And that's going to be a big ultimate that's now unavailable for TSM.
And especially when TSM had the top wave shoved in, right? They already know that 957 was missing out on minions, and he's actually pretty nervous. You can see he doesn't even want to finish off the full minion wave. He's not sure that the TP would get him there in time for a fight, so he's roaming down to join. And when he can force a Shen to group with his team against the Cho'Gath, he's always going to be disadvantaged.
Hanser is hungry. 9 stacks, no champions, and he's looking for some dinner. 3-3 here. Team WE. Featherstorm start from Mystic. Cosmic Radiance goes down. It's going to get just a few of the members. Xie's on the backside, unprotected, and that may be the focus. Hanser hits him. The entire team collapses. Xie's down. Ben tries to run out here. Mystic on the top side. Beautiful damage coming in from him. The focus is perfect. Sends Garen low. Biofrost goes in for another attack. Featherstorm the reset, but Doublelift has found the resets, and he says, "Here we go, TSM."
TSM find themselves the ace. They rip through Team WE, and they have their eyes on the base to get themselves another win.
And they will be able to at least get the inhibitor here. We'll see if they can get the inhibitor, then go back for the Baron, because the minion wave is not yet here. So this will take them some time, and we'll see if they decide to try to go for Nexus first or retreat back to the Baron. The Baron would certainly be the safer option here, but they might want to try to risk it.
Look at those death timers though. Doublelift and Bjergsen just shred through these towers. I don't think Team WE are going to respond in time, and I think TSM are going to take first in the group.
They have a Corki, they have a Tristana, they're the demolition team, and TSM will sit atop of Group D, 2-0, starting off the 2017 World Group Stages.
TSM demonstrating that they can match the team fighting of the LPL squads. Team WE praised so much for their ability to fight, but it was always TSM finding the great fights for them, utilizing the Rakan to set up the engages, playing around the map very patiently, and as you rightly said, Azel, just respecting the win conditions of their opposition to get a very clean game overall.
And I think that TSM showed an excellent understanding of the strengths and weaknesses of that Taric. The way that they actually played their 2 major team fights, Svenskeren splitting up Ben and Xie in the earlier team fight, which allows them to win that and get Baron. Then the second team fight, putting just enough pressure without committing forward. Rakan had never used an ultimate. No summoners had been actually deployed, and they get Ben to drop the Taric ultimate defensively. They back up, they absorb the damage. As soon as it expires, they go forward for the kill.
And much difference on the clock for TSM here. 53 minutes now to 34 minutes, showing that they can tone that down and they can play a bit of WE style, not letting them get to a point where they're just too.
I mean, I feel like the biggest difference between this game and yesterday's game is Flash Rules were very proactive yesterday in the early game. TSM did not want to allow that to happen. It was very slow, very even up until the 20-25 minute mark, but then it all came down to Bjergsen at the end of the day. He found that one pick onto Xie. They were the team to get that first mid tower, and once that was gone, the map was open for TSM to have full control of the game.
Well, there's more games to go today, so let's head over to the analysts to get their thoughts on how TSM picked up that win.
Thank you very much, Rivington. TSM grabbing control of Group D, now moving to 2-0. In just a bit, we'll hear from the man in the mid lane. Before we do that, we're going to take a moment to break it down here. Let's talk draft. Who got the better end of the deal this time around?
I absolutely hated Team WE's draft. I thought TSM outplayed them massively from the very first pick. So by prioritizing Rakan and picking it first, it automatically meant that Team WE were going to be pigeonholed into grabbing Xayah. You have to separate that combo, but then that also meant that you gave Doublelift to Tristana. Then you add in the Syndra, the Shin, and I'm just like, who is Syndra ever supposed to kill at any point in this game?
And it really looks like TSM has already set their sights on the composition style that they like. You have strong solo lanes, and you have the safe, your backup with your Tristana hitting that late game that can always come up into the very end. But the early and mid game, the solo lanes from Hauntzer and Bjergsen were just killing it. Hauntzer specifically, almost getting a solo turret by himself, but so much pressure on the map that World Elite had to respond and just bought so much time for everybody else.
And you can use this composition that World Elite drafted effectively, but that was not the case in this game, right? We saw previously where TSM played against Flash Wolves, the Sejuani plus the Taric combination, where they force the engage during the Taric ultimate, so they utilize that time window effectively, and they're able to stick on those priority targets. However, when WE were doing it, they weren't able to stick on the priority targets because Sven had some good disengages, but also the other part that they drafted there, that like kind of the curveball at the end, the Shen, did not gain them any ground. In fact, it was very detrimental to them because into Cho'Gath he has long-range interrupts. You can stop the early Shen teleports, and they never really got much, out of that one.
Questions around the WE draft, but you mentioned Svenskeren on that Gragas, and leading into the game, Crumbs, you had some criticism to throw at him. How did you feel about his performance this time around, as he was the person who he gave up first blood?
Yeah, it was shaky at first. When he died, he got caught off by the Sejuani multiple times. This is what it's going to look like. So the body slam misses, and then Stand United comes through. But you're going to look at Ben to be the real hero for this. Sure, the CC is there, but the fact that the Taric ultimate connects allows CA to push forward, hit the ultimate, and not have to worry about any retaliation from TSM.
But then in the context of the whole game, you look at how much they used for that, and that was the Stand United, as you mentioned. This allowed the top turret to be like 40% of it was taken in that duration by Hauntzer. So even though First Blood bonus goes over to Team WE, it set up TSM for later getting first tower bonus.
Actually, Hauntzer stealing red buff was also critical for him getting that advantage into the top side. But Svenskeren, even though he did get caught there, his early invade on Condi was great. He almost got first blood by himself, and so it's a much improved game from him compared to game 1 yesterday. But Svenskeren last year looked great on Worlds, and I just think it's nerves that are hitting him now, and he's slowly getting better, and I expect him to improve after seeing this performance.
I know that you're talking a lot about Sven, but I actually really still want to put the focus on Hauntzer. I think that TSM had tempo control pretty much at every single point in that game. You know, it was first tower, first Rift Herald, driving into first mid tower, falling down, and that was built off of Hauntzer, taking the red buff, getting so much damage on that, and allowing TSM to set up these movements.
Let's take a look at the point in which the game blew open, though. For TSM, it was the pick around the mid lane into the Baron here, all started by this Rakan engage.
First and foremost, why are you there? Team WE, there's absolutely no reason. The go button here is the fact that TSM see that Mystic is top on Xayah trying to push the tower. No reason to be on that ramp.
Also, I want to highlight the mini-map in this replay. If you're watching it from the very beginning, Team WE, again, they drafted this Shen on purpose for the last bit of their draft here, yet they don't have 957 in position behind his turret before they're setting up for that play. Frost was asking, why are they there? So you could think, oh yeah, they have a Shen there. They're planning on bringing the Shen here, with that extra man, but they didn't tell Shen. So he had to use his taunt, which is the main ability for the team fight when he gets there to try and gain distance, and he still got interrupted.
His invitation got lost in the mail to that party over near the Baron pit. Crumbs, let's talk about this though, because for TSM, as we mentioned, it was a slow start. They built that double mountain Drake. They played his Baron. Be your Ace or Predator replay here. Huge fight, TSM.
Now, you gotta watch your AD carries, Bjergsen and Doublelift. They're just waiting on the sidelines, and then Mystic is trying to get some pot shots because Syndra just can't kill anybody right now from this position. And so while the tanks are taking all the damage, you've got Doublelift and Bjergsen just waiting for the opportunity. And the second that Sven finds Syndra, that's game over for them. They can just go haywire on this one. And then Doublelift is going to just clean house at the very end.
Yeah, it looks okay at this point until you realize that Doublelift is untouched. He finds that backline. line, it's 1 Goomba stop, 2 Goomba stop. That's a free game.
That's the Tristana, though. Like, the champion for TSM has been so powerful. I really think that they have to start not letting Doublelift get this pick, allowing him to be free to do whatever he wants, especially because Tristana, the interaction with Rocket Jump into Sejuani, always Rocket Jump out of there. You don't have to take Cleanse as an AD carry. You don't even have to prioritize an early QSS. Higher DPS, higher spikes, more damage.
Would you rather have him on the Xayah, on Kalista, or something like that?
Well, of course, no Kalista, though. That is, no one gets
Fun
that.
fact, though, Bjergsen actually had 41.3% of the team's damage in that game, so doing a lot of work on the Corki, both of those 80 carries. With that, TSM secured themselves the top spot in Group D. For more on that win, let's go ahead and send it over to Shox, who's ready with their mid laner.
Thank you very much, Dash. Indeed, with Bjergsen, who had those fantastic stats and also a pretty good game. I would say the analysts were talking about the fact that you guys took it slower than WE in the early game. They were going ham, but you guys seem to be on top of the macro. So what was the exact strategy going in?
I think when they have the Shen, Syndra, Sejuani, that's kind of, they have the global to help out, and Syndra, Sejuani has so much just CC and one potential in the 2v2. So it's really hard for Sven and I to kind of move around the map, so we were forced to play slower in a sense, but the Corki Gragas was going to be better later in team fights. So it's mostly about trading when we had to, defending when we had to, and looking for any opportunities. We had to get a lead, which was mostly just Haunter winning top 1v1 straight up. So that was kind of our mindset going. Oh, it's okay.
But once you guys did get the lead, it seemed like it was pretty easy to close it out. And I want to just remember yesterday's game, because that was one of those tough games where there's a lot of difficulties in closing out. So it must be really nice to be able to play a game like this. And you now find yourself at the top of the standing. So are you starting to feel, I wouldn't say comfortable, but a bit more secure in the fact that you'll be able to advance?
Yeah, I think our early game was a lot better today, just the way we communicated cross map, and we had a plan kind of as a team overall, whereas in the Flash Wolves we had the stronger early game, but we just weren't making the right plays, and eventually he flipped the switch on us and they made the first play. So I feel like today we made a lot of really good adjustments from yesterday, and obviously the game was less grueling. I think it's obvious that today we felt more comfortable on stage and just everyone played better.
Well, it's going great so far. Of course, there's a lot of pressure, as always, on the shoulders of TSM. The hype seems to be even higher than normal, and you guys are 2-0. But a lot of people are interested in the growth you've gone through. You've come back with the same roster. Is there anything you can pinpoint in your play, in the team's play, in the team's the way they look at the game that you think has really leveled up from last year at Worlds?
Looking at last year Worlds and at MSI, I felt like if we got behind, we would have a really hard time coming back in the game and knowing what to do when we were behind. But we showed yesterday against Flash Wolves that we could fall behind by a good amount and still make it back through. Our team just has insanely strong team fighting, so I feel like even if we're down in gold, if we get the TSM team fight, we'll still come back. But obviously a lot of things, but I feel like our mentality from behind is the biggest change from back then.
All right, that's great to hear. 2-0 so far. Thank you very much, Bjergsen, and good luck with the rest of the games. And Flash Wolves versus Misfits Gaming is up after the break, so don't go anywhere.
That is one of my favorites, the process of elimination.
Right next to the intelligence thinking.
The logical thinking. Analytical thinking. The intelligence thinking.
I forgot the word.
Going to be going down, Battle Dance in, the saves are there, and Svenskera's going to live. No, at least power just agrees. CA picks up first blood. Throws the ultimate down, and that's only going to hit Svenskera, and that could be the kill that WE needs, though, to gain control of this jungle. Biofrost gets unleashed on as well.
Look, Syndra! She didn't get tagged, ulti.
Yeah, I'm on tag now. I'm on tag.
No flash. I cancel. Okay. Keep chasing.
Yeah, let's go.
Biofrost goes in for another attack. Feather
Look at the resets.
But Doublelift has found the resets, and he says, here we go, TSM! TSM will sit atop of Group D.
If you want to follow the best of the Rift, then you need T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. We've doubled our coverage, so you can stream Worlds in more places than ever before. With T-Mobile, don't miss a moment from the first battle, all the way to the lifting of the Summoner's Cup. Another reason why T-Mobile is America's best unlimited network.
There's nothing like this anywhere else in the world.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining us for our last game of the day, Cloud9 versus EDG. And of course, the home crowd here going to be looking for their team to pick up yet another victory representing the LPL. But hey, Group A heating up. Let's start by getting some predictions from our analysts as we get a shot of the casters getting ready for the match and the call. Frost, starting with you. Who's going to take it, C9 or EDG?
This time around, it's going to be EDG. And the reason why is because I believe that they can carry from multiple positions right now. It's not to say anything against Sneaky or Smoothie or Jensen. It's in the lane phase. EDG have shown that they'll not only focus target around mid lane in the lane phase, but they'll also focus target around the bot lane, whereas C9 is a bit more one-dimensional. It's all about contracts. It's all about Jensen for the first 15 minutes of the game.
I'm going for Cloud9, actually.
Curveball. Yeah, let's hear it.
Yes, I think that Cloud9 actually are playing pretty well because they are playing aggressive early. They are committing. That's what we have seen today. The teams that are willing to go all the way with the strategy, win or lose, are actually getting the advantage, and I think that they're going to be able to do so against an EDG that had a heartbreaking loss yesterday.
That means that Deficio gets the tiebreaker here in the predictions.
Yeah, but last time it was 3-0, we were wrong, so I don't know if it means anything.
It
but
probably
I
got to be right.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I'm going EDG. So
okay.
I'm with Frost here. I'm especially looking at the fact that Scout and Playlove have shown great mid-jungle synergy, especially here at World, but also back in the LPL in certain games. They should be able to match what Jensen and Contract will be doing. And I actually favor the bot lane of EDG above the one from C9, especially in the late game. I think Ivo has actually been pretty good in a lot of these fights here, so I see EDG winning the late game, which is where I think the game is going to go.
Yeah, quick hit. Specifically on the late game, I think Cloud9 have much better objective setup, particularly vision control, than EDG and most of the LPL teams do. But I think their team fighting is sometimes just a little bit disjointed. They seem a little bit slow to the punch. And where EDG do struggle with team fighting, Cloud9 won't punish them for those mistakes.
All right, well, there you have it. We have a split desk. We'll find out which prediction is correct soon enough. Time to throw it back over to the casters. Get us into the final game of the day.
Hello again, and thank you everyone. So we're just about ready to kick off our final game of the day. So here are the teams with Cloud9 on the blue side here for this one. The group is kind of spiced up a lot.
Oh yeah.
Given what we've just seen, but in the top lane, Impact, in the jungle, Contracts, mid lane of Jensen, the bot lane of Sneaky, support Smoothie, and their coach, Reapid.
Yeah, this match means so much for the group. EDG is going to be coming in from the red side. We have Mouse in the top lane, Clear Love 7 in the jungle, Scout in mid, Iboy and Mako in the bot lane with Coach Nope.
Lots of questions around EDG today. I think it's fair to say, yes, this match means a lot, but what type of EDG are going to play in this match is always going to be my first question. Yesterday was heartbreaking. We all know that that's not the kind of game you ever want to lose, and will that affect them? They're known as an emotional stride.
Yeah, and it's about as much win as it can get in week 1 without being a mathematical elimination, because they are already 0-2. You don't necessarily see SKT as an easy bet in any way. And C9 can actually gain so much with the win over EDG here based on how handily C9 defeated AHQ, which could move their wins up substantially towards the end of it. So C9 wants this game just as much as EDG do, and it has so much importance.
Certainly does, and I think SKT have now put themselves up as a clear favorite, which was expected, but I believe we can have a three-way tie for second, technically, I guess, with each team, if Cloud9 win here. Oh, sorry, if EDG win.
If EDG win, yeah, it's definitely a possibility. EDG, of course, you'd call it a must-win, as you guys mentioned, and the question here is, you know, Iboy, Deficio mentioned, that's the place that I want to start with this team. I'm very high on Iboy. He's only played 25-odd games in competitive. Now he's up against Sneaky, who's been around for years.
And Iboy has looked great at the World Championship. As much as you think about nerves on a rookie and how that can affect people, and even Contracts talked about being incredibly nervous in his first game against SKT and said he made some poor decisions. Iboy has been playing out of this world in this series, and really, EDG has had the second best early game of anyone at the World Championship. They've just been that bad at closing out the game, so whether or not that is nerves from a team perspective or not, we got to see if they can do it again, and we got to see if they can actually close.
Well, here we are into Champion Select. Cloud9 banning LeBlanc, Sejuani, and Kog'Maw, taking them off the field. Kalista and Galio, the responses there for EDG, with one more to come. So we're starting to see the bans being mixed up more, and that is a force, if I've ever seen one. If you want Lulu, you must take it now.
Yeah, but there's not just the Lulu that is going to be up and available. It's not going to be tank scene. It's not just the supports in center. Rakan's there with the Lulu, so there are two good options. Mako loves himself some Rakan, but he also has good counters to it. However, that's an important lock-in.
Well, there's a Xayah for C9, and now EDG are like, oh, we kind of want to take Lulu, but we need to break it up. They take Rakan Jarvan instead. The same combo that undid them yesterday.
Yeah, but yes, exactly. And it has so much engaged potential as we see it being able to take a lead and just actually convert it to a victory. C9 still going to have a very potent duo on their side, but it's so surprising to me locking in the Xayah with Rakan still on the table. Not many teams have that priority.
I agree, and again, Mako's a very good Rakan. The LPL getting Jarvan and Rakan is something that is always going to be terrifying. They love engaging. You've seen WE, you've now seen RNG, and now it's EDG's turn to try and play the exact same style of composition. And guess what? They're all pretty good at it. So Cloud9, they're not drafting to take things away from EDG, it feels like. They're picking the Xayah for themselves.
Certainly sticking to the script as far as what we've seen so far at Worlds. Lulu being taken away, and Jensen says, all right, I've had enough of this. Give me Syndra. He finally wants a bit more pressure and a bit more early game priority.
Yeah, the first rotation mid lane. Syndra's so often banned in phase 2, and also they want to make sure that Scout doesn't get this pick. I think this is a power play by Jensen, knowing both these teams have had such successful early laning phases with the mid lane, and Scout kind of understands what's happening here. He's picked Lucian 2 of 2 games. He's contemplating it. This is a hard matchup into Syndra, but he goes for it anyway.
It's a hard matchup, but it is an achievable matchup for the Lucian to be able to outplay it in some way. He's a Hex Drinker builder as well, if he's ever wanting to be defensive, and I feel like that's the reason that Scout's gone towards this, but he's chosen it over something like Corki, and they picked it early before they go into the next draft phase, and they didn't block an AD carry.
Well, I'm excited because it's a very exciting matchup in the mid lane, but we'll get there in the game as Ezreal banned by EDG, taking that away from Contracts, who has, I believe, been playing quite a lot of it since his advent into the jungle. Rumble, the response there from C9, trying to really pick apart the other ends of the comp from ADG.
Exactly, and yes, this is going to be a sensor game, but it's not going to be the one we've seen a lot of where they're just doing this late game arms race of who can scale up the fastest. We have a lot of engage and a lot of action coming out of this mid lane. Not to mention with the Rakan and Jarvan, you know there's going to be engages that need to happen in the mid game.
And I really like the Rumble ban taking away magic damage from the composition of EDG. Now their AD carry with Kog'Maw gone, they are starting to run out of magic damage dealing options, and there might actually just be a world where the Lucian ends up in the AD carry role to have magic damage if that's where the draft gets pushed towards.
Oh, he's also going to take even more magic damage out, but that... Oh, okay, they think it's top lane Jarvan, that's why. All right, makes sense there. I mean, for me, in my head, Clearlove's played so much Jarvan in his very long career, but you're right. Often seen top lane as well. Ivo, though, is going to grab Tristana. Didn't see any AD bans apart from Ezreal, I guess, technically in phase 2 here. So we'll have an optional versus on AD, but we don't need to pick it now. So will be the mix.
The Elise ban could be a little bit cutting only because, as you say, it's most likely going to be that Jarvan in the jungle. But C9 is so tunneled on trying to prevent magic damage. In what world does EDG actually fit magic damage in this competition? Because I think they'd be absolutely fine with that Lucian moving spot to Ivoy. It would give C9 a better early laning phase. It would mean Scout doesn't have one. So I think that's why they're so tunneled on it, but it does leave choking.
And Cho'Gath's going to be a pretty big damage deal. It may not be all the damage that they need for EDG, but it's something that will mean a significant amount when you hit the team fighting stage. And for the rest of EDG's composition, for the AD carry role, pretty much anything they need, whether it's Varus or a bit of mix and neutral, it's always something to think about.
Well, then there for Impact, going to take that tank versus the other tank. And looks like Contracts will default to Gragas, having some of the more high-tempo junglers taken off. Two respectful bans there in the other side, but no! Gonna swap it up. That's a Graves from Contracts.
Thought he was gonna go with the classic Gragas, but it's another high farm, high damage jungler for Contracts, which is what they've given him a lot of so far here at the World Championship and even in the regional playoffs for C9. So bold pick down the road there for C9.
And a lot of considerations here for EDG. I think they're trying to say, how fast do we expect this game to be?
Yeah.
Can we afford to go late for Tristana? They can't, they say. We're going to go lane dominance a bit more, at least for the Varus.
Yeah, this could be the on-hit Varus build as well, so just trying to mix up that damage output. You've got the Cho'Gath in the top lane, so a rounded out composition from EDG. Still perfectly fine, big engaged duo, something that they need to try and get through any mid-game hurdles, even if they get through the early game ahead. It looks a lot better for EDG in this draft, but Cloud9, I mean, they've thrown a curveball here of the Graves to hard farm the jungle clear.
Yeah, and also even the fact that they're going Shen instead of the Trundle that we've seen today, or even the Nautilus, or the Maokai, which we think that Impact would go for, but it is a classic Worlds pick for Impact once again. Maybe it's that just enabler for Contracts to go even more aggressive, having the Shen in his back pocket when he's trying to make these fades. And yeah, as you guys mentioned, this is less likely to be that super late game matchup, and these guys have to pick for some of the mid and early game choices.
And we're probably expecting some more of this as the tournament goes on, just teams figuring out ways to speed up the game. Because if everyone's going late, at some point you meet in the middle, I feel like. So we'll be curious to see as the tournament develops, how the game goes. But this one should be quite explosive for our last one of the day.
Also can't wait for the mid lane. Both these guys have been so dominant in that phase.
Yeah, definitely the place to watch. Scout is a bit of an enigma. Can he pop off is always going to be the question.
Alrighty, a week almost done as we gear up to finish day number 3 here. C9 versus EDG. 1-1 for C9 as they move into this EDG with a big old bagel in the win column, sitting at 0-2. A very important game for these two teams.
And Group A, the first group to conclude week 1, so these guys will be done until next week when their group will be decided on one day where each team plays 3 games against each other. So important to go into that extra week of practice with some momentum. If C9 could win this, they are the favorites to make it out of the group. If they lose, it is an absolute disaster after so many good early games.
Yeah, definitely true. So they need this win now. Try and reset the defeat and victory ratio for themselves, or week number 2 becomes rather dire. It all starts through that early game pressure, and some changes have already come into effect here. Firstly, it's not Rek'Sai, it's Jarvan. Still very good early ganker, but has a bit more of a wombo with the Rakan when they group up. And this, to me, speaking towards EDG, is a big win. They've got a utility bottom lane, and Mako's the shot caller for the team. Clearlove's the shot caller for the team. Put it all together with the draft. That's a good start.
So just note, EDG 5-man invaded at level 1, didn't find anything. Mouse swept a ward that they killed with a Super Drinker, and now he changed it back in. So EDG are really posturing for something very cheeky here, but a great ward is going to spot them, but they kill it.
They kill it again. That's 2 ward kills already. A little bit of experience bonus too could allow for Clearlove to get a little bit ahead, but C9 is going to pull it anyway, and nothing really doing.
So reset, so it'll buy some time, but EDG haven't contested it like what Peanut did in the last game. He's just going to go back towards his own blue buff, and he's actually not going to get a leash for that either. EDG want tempo in the bottom lane, and so this is a very awkward start.
Jarvan also doesn't clear very well by himself. He gets very low on his first clear, so don't expect too many early games from Clearlove in this one. Also, the call by Scout, pretty cool close as well. Yes, it helps him, but Contracts is going to try and kill you with Jensen, so not having that extra health you could get from a Doran shield is interesting.
Well, a bit of damage here from Impact. Mouse going to run himself away. Should be safe for now. Backs up. But it's a good time to check in on the mid laners, Jensen and Scout. Interesting start to the group stage for both of them, and as expected of the caliber of these players, instrumental in helping their team in the early game.
That was really clean from Scout as well there to dodge out with the combo. One thing to mention, Jad, is that in the LPL, Lucian's a coveted pick against Syndra. They really do like that.
Very versatile as well, but watching this game, top lane.
Contracts, early flash from Mouse might have needed it and probably did. Contracts in a tank to power hits, but Mouse stays alive.
That would have changed that 100% 15-minute kill participation for both mid laners, because everything has been around the mid lane in the first 2 games of the groups for these guys, but Contracts trying to spread the stone, and that Shen is actually incredibly good into the Cho'Gath early, if you can get those trades with Impact Cash.
Of course, Mouse, if he gets the last 6 minutes, also Contracts though. It's not just one the top lane, the flash is burned, the teleport is burned, so why not make it twice? Clearlove not to be seen, he's at red buff at the moment. Remember, he had a pretty rough clear.
Exactly. I don't think the Contracts 100% knows that or knows his path, but he feels fairly confident trying to get something done with the counter jungle of the Krugs. How patient will it be, and how much poke can Impact get on Mouse by the time this wave cracks?
Makes the
turret hit to get some good damage done. Graphically Undying also proccing. And now Contract, the wave is coming. It's going to take these procs. Timing could be perfect, but Clearlove smells something.
They might run into it. Oh, no, never mind. Oh, there was a croak there.
Ships passing in the night, most certainly, as Contract rolling down the jungle. Now will be struggling to back to base and walk if he needs to. We'll see what he chooses to do with that teleport early on.
Funny how the Krug does the timing of being able to back up Mouse is Clearlove being in exactly the right place because that was a point of danger. And yeah, as you mentioned, time to going back to full clear based on Clearlove's first back. He will be fine in the jungle now once you pick both of the small jungle items up. Jarvan's clear gets a lot more healthy, so the ganks have to now be respected by some.
Scout certainly using Lucian, certainly laning aggression to bully Jensen here. A big wave that Jensen wants to try and clear, but Scout will make him pay if he can. 10 CS so far, and Scout is doing everything he can to hold this wave and bully Jensen.
This is a big wave that will crash, so the 10 will shrink significantly. Jensen, even with the experience disadvantage, should be able to get some of that back. But Scout does have control, and through this control means he can place extra vision down, or he can work with Clearlove if they choose to make a play.
Yeah, and Patient Talk, how many times have I heard you say bully Jensen in the North American LCS? It just doesn't happen. 0, big goose egg. So the fact that Scout is playing that aggressive, no wards as well, just shows an absurd amount of confidence, but he's dodging a lot of skill shots to keep himself very high, and he brought cleanse, so at the moment, he's playing it just right.
Clearlove very sneaky. Engineers a nice gank here in the top side, but Mouse.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if it'll be to a gank or to a counter gank. Contract has been around here a few times. He's been hovering on the top side of the map now. He isn't at the moment. But Clearlove might just find an opportunity of his own. Staying up here for a very long time.
Maybe one of the most lovely games I've seen in a while, but Clearlove instant on the lane. He doesn't think he can get something done. He's going to hit the recall button now. Impact playing respectfully there, back in his lane.
Yeah, I think that was 100% Mouse really wanted to shove it into the church and if the game would have come, they would have had Indian advantage in that engage, and I think that's what Clearlove was there. But the fact that it missed means Contract
Reminder there from Scout actually unleashes the calling, but Jensen now has his ulti Contract here to make it happen in the setup. Oh no, Scout! Good flash, but that's not enough. Jensen gonna grab the first blood.
Yeah, awkward flash from Scout, almost not necessary in the end because he was still flashing towards Cloud9's base. Contract was next to him, and C9 simply by having a Shen and Scout wanting to win his lane so hard, just get a kill.
Yeah, that's what Scout isn't thinking about the overall game, but is only thinking about the Syndra v Lucian matchup, because sure, he would have won in the 1v1, but that's not how you play against Cloud9.
Contract is getting beaten on those. Jensen gonna run up to help. He's out of mana as Clearlove still to run back away. Contract looking to make the aggressive play. Turn it back around. The shot! Oh my god, that's good. And Contract, he had to reload now. Mouse is gonna try and get him. If a feast lands, he's dead. Contract jukes around that very nicely, and he'll get himself out.
Clearlove leveled up and smote when he was trying to live through that gank. Very nearly what could have turned into a big mid lane snowball right there if they get a kill on the jungler and the mid, but for now, that lane is still somewhat stable.
And well executed by Contracts, all things considered, to get himself out alive, dodging all of the ruptures. Clearlove needs to be careful. He's probably going to die to a blue buff.
Good W.
There we go, everything will just simmer down again.
Well, Scout gets the blue buff to Clearlove. It's probably going to remind him just how important that was. Now, trying to fight Impact, Rupture lands, grabs procs, and top lane is trade, but Impact has found a lot of traction early in this lane. It's about 25 CS ahead right now.
Yeah, Mouse doing what most Cho'Gaths do, trying to use his feast on cooldown after he gets level 6 to max that as quickly as possible, but every time he does that, Impact feels free to flash, to taunt forward and go for more. But we're going to watch this one more time. Remember, no match for this for Scout here. They have an XP they're both level 6. So he's playing the range very well to start here, but then Jensen's like, wait a minute, I have Contracts and Shen here. It was a ruse all along. Your cleanse is useless against my raw, unleashed power from Syndra. So Scout disrespects it and gets killed.
Yeah, I mean, if you remove the tab button from his keyboard, he was doing all kinds of things correctly, but there was a Shen. There's always been a Shen since draft phase. He just didn't actually notice that.
Yeah, and we saw the jungle proximity at the start of the game. Scout was much higher than he actually averaged a lower jungle proximity in the first 2 games he did in North American LCS. yes, but how quickly C9 get in and get out is what catches people off guard a lot of the time. Scout had not been visited by Contracts for the first 6 minutes of the game. Probably felt pretty safe for that all-in. He was not.
Certainly wasn't. DJ's dual lane return to the bot side. You can see iBoy very successful on Varus in the LPL. Looks like Ginsu's race lane is the first order of business. Sneaky though, has his BF sword early already and the Targon. So again, kind of our standard bot lane away to the opportunity has once again begun.
That is the one thing we have to talk about. Haven't really looked at bottom lane all that much. Xayah versus Varus is a medium range AD carry off. It's not a Cosmo or a Twitch this time around. And there is a very serious carry potential still from iBoy simply existing. Top lane's just fighting. iBoy's a really good Varus is the point that I'm making. He's actually incredible at it. And it's one of the few champions, like, he plays Ashe and he relentlessly feeds. But for some reason, Varus, which has similarities, he's really good at it.
And this has a huge synergy power, so like, if you get to the place, get the S3 and deal upgrade. And currently the laning phase has been quite strong. We obviously have visited down there because all of the ganks have been happening on the top or mid side of the map, but we have to watch out for that.
Well, a bit more attention here. Mako is now level 6, so either lane pressure or even roam pressure can be very heavily applied with this Rakan. We also saw Impact earlier, still holding a nice 20 CS lead. Has been bullying Mouse with the Tiamat where he can, but getting his armor and getting his items. So right now, bot lane is going to start it up. Mako missing that knockup, but Kalila very sneaky is there. But Contract now in the mid lane. This could prompt lots of action as Shen. He's going to roam in as well. A great cleanse on, but it's not enough as Impact taunts down and kills Scout.
It's a party, and Impact has so much pressure in that lane.
Boy, what a huge chain of corruption! Smoothie get a flash to try and get up a cliff. Dunks him for the kill.
And the immediate response from EDG on the bottom side of the map. However, Cloud9 did it earlier, they did it more successfully, and they were already at the turret when it happened. So it's still a big win for C9 here. EDG have responded, so we'll see how much more they get.
Yeah, mid lane turret going down first. Very big in the grand scheme of this matchup, but change of class for Kalila. He's like, Scout, there's nothing I can do, man. That's a volatile matchup. The Syndra's gonna kill you whenever they press R on you because the Syndra's ahead. Gank bottom lane. Max range R from the Varus to set up the entire CC chain. And they get the turret for themselves down bottom. We're gonna watch that mid lane gank one more time.
Yes, the Contract just finds Scout walking over to the side of the map where Kalila was ultimately up. Feels like he didn't know that there was a Graves there. He wasn't even warding. He was actually just walking towards the bottom side. But iBoy, target selection here is very clever. You think he has the ult, if he sees it going towards him, there's a chance he just presses R and walks away with all of his summoners, so they pick the loot.
Yeah, really nice choice right there. I think we're gonna see more and more teams go for the supports in these games because they are the ultimate enablers, and they're so squishy. These sensor builds with no sightstone do die with them.
And what better champions to do exactly that, right? The Varus and the Rakan, very good at killing.
Nice play there as the teams even up. I did get first turn gold. Bandit still sitting at just over 1,000 gold in this game. So right now, but Sneaky going in. We'll see how much pressure he can get here. Using the dual lane to for a little while. Scout is also bot lane, so this could be a full-on top EDG or just kind of where the farm lays. C9 responding with an Ocean Drake.
Yeah, EDG trying to rebalance the map right now that the turret has gone down to the Drake place. C9 Ocean Drake. EDG's actually making it top side. They got the indication. Impact is already very low.
Mouse does not have feast just yet. They're going to try and chase it down. Mako going to look for it. Ups the quickness, wants it, but doesn't grab it with the W.
No, so the Drake will be secured. iBoy's walking up, but the minions are also crashing. It looks like they will trade the turret. They'll get gold for an Ocean Drake.
Yeah.
Early Ocean Drake's good, but turret gold's nice.
And tempo-wise, they're so far ahead technically in display. Yeah, they're going to lose a move up to the Ocean Drake, but I don't know if C9 can actually get the wave to that turret in time. And EDG would probably be able to herald if they decide to give up the turret anyway. So a positive play probably for EDG here.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. Past that, even getting the Herald means the mid lane outer turret's a realistic opportunity to trade what Cloud9 did earlier with their first gank towards that lane, so it could work out super well.
It's about the continuation of the play, though. Do they go for another kill onto Impact, or do they actually take a Herald? Because if we're thinking about this, Ocean Drake for Herald, but then they're just trading turrets and they didn't get a kill. So then it's just a straight up value between the two. The Herald's going to be a very slow take by himself.
He is. We'll see just how long it takes him here. At about 1946. playing at home. Oh, Impact spotted him already.
The Impact Blast Cone's over blind there. Playing very well with limited knowledge in this game.
That could have been 3 people. That absolutely could have been 3 people who just turned on him.
Fine.
Well, Context maybe going to held for a little while longer. It does reset EDG, so once it can take it, but now what's up? EDG back on and hopefully don't get an additional attention after all those questions.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit concerned for EDG here because yes, they do have the Rage Blade, but they need to have a fight where they can convert it. And Scout is also very far behind. They bank so much on Lucian also hitting the power spike, which he has in the first 2 games, but he played quite poorly in this early game. Like, yes, C9 did a great job to bait Shen ult to get the ganks in, but he was pushed up without control wards on his side, because normally the strategy is to control ward one side, cheat to that side, and play aggressive. They never had river control with their control wards, but still played that way and were punished.
Yeah, Clearlove was playing towards the bottom side of the rift, and Scout does get punished very early. He's got his Blade of the Royal King items flag right now, so for what it's worth, EDG can convert all of these flags into something meaningful. You're looking at the Rift Herald still as the primary objective, it feels like, because this mid lane and river area is all of the focus.
Oh, fight going to start. Mako wants Jensen with the channel. He's going to protect him. Shield is good. Clearlove now maybe in trouble. Cataclysm's over. Nowhere else to go, and Impact grabs the kill. Now Mouse, who did TP in, looking for something, but that's just one for C9.
Starting to look rougher and rougher for EDG right there. Clearlove didn't have his flash up, thought there
Fuck!
was no way out.
God damn it.
They're not respecting Impact Shen.
Yeah.
This is the most effective Shen we have seen so far at Worlds groups, because so many other Shens just split push all day and then only on defensively. They use it twice offensively and now also defensively. Impact getting incredible use out of the stand united.
That was a level 11 Shen, so his ultimate's going to be significantly larger. You saw how much it was able to absorb, and suddenly EDG with items flag almost irrelevant because their opponents are able to react to the play and they best them at it.
Contract's going to take his Rift Herald, does go down, and good tower to use it on in the top side. If he wants to go there, he will wander up there now as Scout was 1v2 just trying to get a bit more farm. Contracts maybe doesn't even feel like he has to use it now. Checking that brush, puts down a control ward. C9 going to be in the turret lead only briefly, very shortly, as C9 sneaky and smoothie are going to grab this one.
Yeah, they're in the midst of a C9 snowball. When C9 wins, they tend to win kind of in the same way. If they can get a decent early game lead from play-ins to the victories exclusive, they have a really good progression with the way they achieve victory. Currently, they're on pace for that, and it's about EDG to try and disrupt that. They're going mid right now. They still have the sensor, they still have the Rage Blade, they're stacking it up. Expect C9 to defend.
Another good response here from EDG with the taunt lantern and a Scout. He cleanses it up pretty quickly, but the damage may already be done. I think he actually tanked current aggro as well. Feel bad.
He is way too aggressive this game and is not recalibrated.
No, not at all. He's going to tank. It wasn't a Syndra ultimate. I think could have killed him if there was a position to do so. We get to watch this mid lane fight once again. Notice how large the Shen shield is when it comes in. That negates so much damage because Iboy, he cannot attack. He's meant to be the one attacking to do all of the damage for the team.
But also, C9 was absolutely there for a counter gank. They just had more people, and they did a long range engage with Rakan Jarvan, and they just had no reasonable way of following up.
And I like the idea, right? Force against the team that's starting to get some control of Summoner's Rift over you. But when you're forcing that hard, it's never going to be successful unless you're just significantly better players. And I wouldn't say that.
Certainly the gold is starting to accrue very rapidly. C9 actually up 4,000 gold here at the 18-minute mark. Got a Drake spawning in 40 seconds. Drake will be up next, and Baron, of course, makes his first appearance in this game in just about 2 minutes. So EDG, it is good to see them making plays, but again, have to make sure that everything is rightfully in position. C9 has done a great job both on offense and defense, and again, looking to snowball that lead. Rift Herald still hitting the contracts, might probably be able to get into. Stun lands, Clearlove. Ulted out there, Scout defensively calling contracts off his jungler.
But They still push Clearlove back and burn his flash, so the chance of a contest here on the Cloud Drake versus
Certainly should be a pretty bad race for Cloud9. Well, I don't know if they wanted to contest it either way. It looks like they're moving over towards
it. Should actually just cost them the mid turret. EDG could move and just slap that turret a few times. They're moving in.
Get out. Double dashes there from the top end jungler, and if you're gonna move back down the mid, they could start a fight if they want to.
Yeah, Syndra ultimate down, so C9's going to be a little bit less ambitious in defending it, but it just matters how much they think they are ahead right here. And if they can stand and defend, they're kind of going for it.
That goes in again onto the Shen of all people. Still giving the wave to is very good.
Exactly, and that's why they couldn't push in the first place. They walked over to the Drake. They cleared a wave, Cloud9 then moved to the Drake. EDG like, well, we can respond with clearing a wave, but that doesn't actually allow us to push. Same thing happens here as well. Graves Q, Syndra has all of the spells to clear waves. And EDG's response is to move over to him and to try and burst him down because he's the one flanking and engaging.
Good ult, quickness, ulti there onto Contracts by Shen. Sneaky moving forward. Cena want to turn this back around. Mako with a great dash back away. Mouse is here. Contracts now forced to flush out of the way. The Featherstone could get a room to take it. Still looking for the Dark Armor. Does it to take out Sneaky and Impact. He's too far forward. Forced to flash as Jensen lands a nice two-man sub at EDG. It was Scout. Flashes in. Aggression so much from this man. As the Rift Tower now been summoned by Contracts, that's a bit of an odd one in the middle of the fight.
He puts a top lane, says, please deal with that, don't keep chasing us, and now he's back in.
Oh, onto Mouse perhaps there, the Roost could have worked a stun in onto that. The ulti from Jensen is enough onto Mouse.
Yeah, not just could have, it definitely worked. Contracts is going off right now. The summoning of the Herald, yes, it's a bit quirky, but it's paying off.
Yeah, and now they're going to pressure mid while that Herald charges in the top side. They have Mouse down, teleport advantage. They're a little bit low on Ana, but Sneaky back on the field. They might look to pressure mid lane here.
Well, EDG defending with a man down for 10 more seconds. Mouse also TP'd in, so you're going to take your while to wait there. Minions just busy.
Yeah.
Harold's having an existential crisis. He's forgotten his real purpose. He's off jobs.
Yeah, it doesn't clear minions that fast. Really hyped.
It was hype, now he's just sad.
Gale will collect his 25 gold and continue taking the rest of the minions in that way. There was a weird 8-1 for some reason.
Glad you waited for that Rift Trail down to start the replay. But here, you can see EDG making the engage, and the teleport is a good teleport by Mouse, and I think C9 is overconfident. Watch where Lulu is in this fight, so Sneaky doesn't have the shielding. The EQR by Clearlove there on Jarvan was perfectly timed with the Xayah ultimate timing out, but then the disengage by C9 is pretty good. They end up getting backside. Scout!
Alright, well, we talked to the comments, Sneaky, they're going to keep moving in Jensen series on Contracts. Never mind, he's also there, and Jensen, I think he's just going to opt for the kill. Stun lands in, and Contracts, he's the lucky man today.
That's not just the duo lane of C9 that are here, it's all of the cavalry. There's 4 of them to secure. The mid laner of EDG now around the Baron buff at 22 minutes. They've got a lot of damage to do it. It impacts their attacks though.
They can pressure it. They have a TP advantage and a numbers advantage on the Rift, so they either get the turret or a very powerful play around the Baron pit that is really difficult for EDG to check. And so much of this is even on Scout overextending time and time again.
As well, so Impact is really unfortunate that cooldown's almost back up. He's under the K2 and dealing with Impact will take it after splitting the map. EDG slow to respond. To be honest, there wasn't too much they could really respond with.
There's a bit of sizable gold advantage across the board. It hasn't really been the item purchases except for mid and jungle though specifically. So those are the 2 places that we'll have to continue to watch. It's better to have it, of course. It's Cloud9. I'm not going to say anything past that point.
Also, the 4 pairs of Mr. Top against the largely physical and auto attack EDG has been very effective at using a lot of their damage that EDG is trying to engage on them. Shield is even more effective as well. The shield goes on every squishy champion.
EDG again. The Lucio play, Mako, no flash, but has the ult ready. Contracts maybe is the pick. How goes and lands with the shield again, and Xayah just turns back around for the damage from Mako. A big knock up there, finds 2 with the Featherstone. Gary Scout gets one as Mouse eats Contracts for the first kill of the team fight.
They keep getting these picks, and EDG, I don't think they want anything past that. They'll just take the pick and back it up. That's still a win for them. The jungler is dead, so Baron's just a pipe dream for C9. They'll have to lick their wounds and go back to base.
That's the second time it's happened now.
Yep, Contracts as well has been front and center in a lot of these, even if this is the first time he's actually died, being very aggressive, pushing the tempo, and the engage for C9 isn't the most reliable thing. It's Jensen getting a stun or Impact finding a flank. So actually the type of fights they almost hope to happen is EDG running into them and C9 being able to turn it around. But if they're not grouped enough, when EDG does run into them, it doesn't work. Like, what is this, a double marksman flank between Contracts and Sneaky? They nearly burst down Fearlove, but the rest of their team is so far away. Look at Cinder and Lulu on the mini-map. Contracts is already dead. EDG's been fighting 4v3 for a while, and EDG just walked away after the kill.
Yeah, big problem for EDG is always going to be follow-up, but if Cloud9 are going to walk to them separated, it's very easy to initiate in the first place. And that is one thing they will have a truckload of between a Jarvan and a Rakan. Second pick in a row now.
We did mention already the importance of this game for both these teams, but we are going to have a look at EDG and kind of the roller coaster they've actually been on as they look to close out their first week of groups. These are their first 2 games, and these are some gold graphs, and that is a wild ride.
Exactly. They're going to get the near 10,000 goal lead in these 2 games. When are they going to blow it was been the question. But in this game, they actually have never had control. This is a completely new experience for EDG in this particular group stage. Yes, they could come back from deficits in the LPL, but Worlds is also a whole nother story. C9, actually not the best team at closing victories, but do win fast when they win.
And amusingly, that is a concern for both of these teams. How do they close out when they get those leads? C9 making some mistakes with the lead in this game. EDG is still very good at playing defensively when they don't have leads, and that might be the battle we see ensue here.
Yeah, in North America, it was a bit of a problem for C9, specifically even in the playoffs. They had at one point a 10,000 goal lead and 3 inhibitors down to Team Dignitas. We're not able to win that and got knocked out of the playoffs. But in the Worlds play-in, as well as the Worlds group stage, when they're ahead, they've been lights out with closing. So the boot camp, the practice has cleaned things up as of late for C9.
And the snowball's still here, 5,500 gold ahead and counting as C9 also pick up a second mascot Drake for themselves. Looks like we got one more coming as well, because it wouldn't be a C9 game without them. EDG though, trying to again spot something here in the mid lane. Looks like Impact actually aggressively teleported to try and get the wave pushing, but he does have ulti.
That means the set play starts to be